Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beyond BMR. Of course, I'm your host, Bigfoot Mr. Rob. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Well, I'm doing. I don't know how I'm doing. I tell you what, I must have like a month-long cold or something. Krista was telling me it's hope. She hopes it wasn't what she had, but man, I just can't get rid of this. One day I feel great. One day I feel not so great. I don't know, but it's Tuesday. And there won't be a show next Tuesday because next Tuesday already it's Christmas Eve. Yeah, that's right. So thanks to everybody for hanging out with us tonight. I do appreciate you. If it is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, Texas Front Porch, all found on YouTube. Give us a like, share us out. You can also find us on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, wherever podcasts are found. If you like our content, you want to help support us, the super chat's open. Thank you so much in advance for the super chat. Also, you can become a BMR pirate. Join today. Join the many. Join the few. Become a pirate. What you get a picture of me in a bandana next to your name in the chat room. Yeah, that's right. That's what you get. In January, though, I might have some members only content for you. I got a lot of things changing with the all three shows. Krista missed it last Saturday night. I haven't filled her in yet, but that's okay. We got plenty of time to talk about that. With that being said, I'm going to bring up Miss Krista.
Hey.
Hi, Krista. And really quickly before I forgot, Christmas is almost here. You would be a show if I didn't plug this. My books found on Amazon. Sinfully says she bought 2 of them and already read one. Yes, the whole one. Read it yesterday. Bigfoot Mr. Robson's True Cryptid Encounters, book 1 and 2. Still time to get it in time for Christmas. It's at Bigfoot Mr. Rob in your Amazon browser. Leave a review, subscribe. Thank you for that. So, with that being said, once again, hello. You just got back from a little party today, did you not?
I did. Went to a Christmas party and came scooting in at the end here, which I told you I'd be here, and I'm here.
So. Yes, you are, and you're here actually ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to wake up my other buddy who's coming on. I'm just kidding, Ron Murphy. I'm gonna bring him up.
Hi, Ron. Hello there, folks. Happy Tuesday to you.
Yeah, it is Tuesday. This time of year for me, Ronald, everything runs together. I've had a couple different parties. As you can tell, as soon as I start talking for a long time, you can hear my voice start to crackle a little bit. But yeah, it's just been nonstop busy as it is this time of year, which I don't mind it, especially since the weather now is back to normal. We got rid of the 18-degree weather and snow finally. Now it's just 38 degrees and mild.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so just back and forth.
Here, was 55 degrees.
Oh, well, that's perfect. See. Now, typically, though, for Christmas time, the last couple of years, it's rained and it's been almost in the high 50s. So I'm not going to bitch too much about it.
Hell no.
So
it's been nice here, too. Honestly, the temperature has.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe it'll move north a little bit and hit me a little bit. But, and really briefly, Ronald, you're going to be with us, too, for a conference we have coming up. Crossing Realms Conference, September 19th and 20th. That is in Richmond, Missouri. Tickets available right now on Eventbrite. You can find them in the profile on my YouTube page and all our other folks' pages. Mm-hmm. And here's our lineup. Heather Mosier, Small Town Monsters. Josh Hurd, filmmaker, author. The Haunted Garage, Frankie and Dan. Tex Weston, Master of Ceremonies. Greg Ogles, William Lunsford. There he is, Ron Murphy, Lady Ann Celine, Dr. Dean Bircham, featured special guest Dana Stricker, Ken Gerhardt, of course, Brent Thomas. So yeah, I'm excited to meet you, Ronald.
Well, we actually added a couple extra special guests.
A couple extra special guests.
Yeah. So we have Ryan Edwards is also coming, and Mike Philmont.
Oh, I think I talked about some time ago.
Yeah.
Well, he looks like an interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Resume, whatever he sent over to us. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah,
It'll be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it because, I got a chance to meet Krista. I got to meet her at the Dogman Festival that was outside of Dallas, Texas. And I was able to do a talk with Anne Celine. And, not to toot my own horn, but I think that it went very, very well. So she and I will also be speaking together here at your festival for only the second time in recorded history.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it because you guys really did a great job at the Dogman conference last year. So
I appreciate that. She has a very unique take on things. She has an energy that's just really inviting, and I am looking forward to this more than you guys could possibly know.
We are too, honestly. And when Rob said, that you were in for the conference, I immediately thought of Anne, and Rob and I talked about that, didn't we, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They spoke together at the Dogman conference. It was great. This would be great for us. So here you guys are. We appreciate you both doing this.
I'm very, very excited. And this is only the second time I've ever been to Missouri. So I'm looking forward to getting back there as well, too.
Good deal. What part of Missouri were you at before?
St. Louis.
Okay. I'm on the St. Louis side. So, yeah.
All right. So where exactly is this conference going to be taking place for all the people that are going to be coming in from all over the world?
So it is in Richmond, Missouri, which is about 45 minutes east of Kansas City.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
Yeah. So, and as you said, people coming in from all over. We have, I know Brent Thomas is coming in from North Idaho. He's 22-hour drive. And then the Mike Philmont, he's coming in from New Jersey. So, Ken Gerhard, I know him and Ann, they've got a 16-hour drive.
Yeah, so, coming in from Texas.
Yeah, and your drive isn't so short.
Yeah, you know what? It's under 12 hours actually. It's not that far away.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, people will come. I mean, if you're putting on a legitimate conference, you will get speakers to come and drive regardless of where it's located. And likewise, you'll have people come from all over the place as well, too. Because I think what you guys provide, not only with this radio station, but also with this conference, is you're providing a forum in which we can express, intelligently thought out theories and then have them debated in a very intellectual way without name calling and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so looking forward to this, because I do a lot of conferences, but they're not all the same, mind you. So I want people to think about that. If they're thinking about maybe holding out and not coming to this conference, I want to assure you that this conference will definitely not be like your normal everyday run-of-the-mill conference.
Right, exactly. It's going to be a good one. And you know what? I want to tell everybody too, if you guys are interested at all in going to the ghost hunt, which all of our speakers and guest speakers have all said that they're going to be a part of. We only have 4 tickets remaining for that.
Wow.
Yeah, I would get your tickets sooner than later because I guarantee you they'll be gone by the end of this month.
No, they might be gone before the end of this night.
Yeah.
When we first December 1st just so happened to be on a Tuesday night, and we put out the Eventbrite. We sold like 8 tickets that night, right on the show.
Wow.
It was actually a Saturday. It was the Saturday late night show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Your memory's better than mine.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we'll do. Let's try to get these 4 tickets sold. You said that's what it's 4 tickets, right?
4.
Let's make this into a stocking stuffer right now. So if we can sell these 4 tickets before the end of the show tonight, I will personally accompany those 4 people on the tour.
There you go. Oh, awesome.
On the the ghost hunt. Yeah, great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. I want to tell everybody too that like if you guys get your tickets for the meet and greet, the Friday night part, you not only get to like come and hang out with Ron and everybody, but you'll also get whether you get the ghost hunt tickets or not, you'll get a tour of the museum. It's right next to it, and we can show you where all the hot spots are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, so everybody, that event will be tickets will be on sale. They went up December 1st, and it's September 19th and 20th. So Ron, thanks again for coming on today. And you've been on 3-4 times. You've been out with the Blondes. Thank you, Joe, for that awesome super chat. So you've done a lot in the paranormal, the cryptid field. You really have a passion for, the elementals and the fae, the fairies, and when you first started out, what was the first thing as a little bit younger in life when you just got involved with this? What was the very first thing that caught your interest and said, this is something I want to get involved with and investigate a little further?
You mean elementals?
Well, with anything, like when you're 30 years ago, where'd you get started? Why did you even get started with any of this? Then you can lead into your story. Yeah.
So definitely was my mom got me involved in this because she was, she liked to read about the paranormal, and we would watch. I mean, this was a bonding time. This was family time whenever In Search of came on, right? And that music and Leonard Nimoy's voice, and we would sit there, we would watch it, and we would discuss these things as much as a 6-year-old boy could talk about these things. But what it gave me was an appreciation for the outdoors, a reverence for nature, and the curiosity that there may be more things out there than science will admit to, right? So that was really, Bigfoot was my gateway drug, and I think it's probably everybody's gateway drug into the paranormal. Mm-hmm. It was something that, I was both terrified of and also, inextricably gravitated towards as well. It's one of those kind of unique characters because it's so like us, but it's like the undomesticated bestial side of humanity, right? And so, with trepidation, whenever I was 10, 11, 12 years old, with my brother and with some people in some kids in the neighborhood, we would form a Bigfoot club, and then we would go up into the woods and see what we can find. And it was a great way to be a kid. This was the late 70s. So everybody had a bicycle, and we had to be home by the time the street lights came on. But it was a wondrous time because we could talk about Bigfoot. It wasn't so much a part of the mainstream media that it was saturated because it was still kind of like a fringe topic here, right? So we were like thinking that we were the first boots on the ground people, that we were actually looking at this from from some sort of theoretical framework and trying to put our own kind of analysis to it. But again, like I said, it was those formative years. It was going to the library. It was talking with my mom. It was watching these great shows that really instilled in me that there was more out there than meets the eye.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But talking about fairies, though, now fairies is a completely different subject.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I never gave them much thought at all. Like whenever I was in graduate school, I was studying history, and I remember taking this course on Renaissance England, and it was a fairly dry course, right? So we had a thesis paper that we had to write, and I had no idea what I was going to do it on. I was still very much enamored with the paranormal. So I decided that I was going to write on fairies. It was just one of those things that, I didn't want to write about kings or battles or anything like that, or economics. I wanted to write about something that was fantastical. So I thought, what the heck? I'll write about fairies. And the only thing I knew about fairies is what Peter Pan taught me. That's really all that I knew about it. And then I wrote this, this research paper, and I started to find out that, these are incredible beings that have been with us really since the very beginning of time in some way. And after that class, I studied in England for a while, and I studied in Scotland, and I went to the places that I had wrote about in my paper. And, I got to see places firsthand, like Aberfoyle, where Dr. Kirk, he was a minister back in the late 1600s who wrote The Commonwealth of the Fairies. And he claims that he had discussions and encounters and even visitations into the fairy realm. So it was like, now I was that 10-year-old kid again, in England and in Scotland. looking for fairies, the same way I look for Bigfoot in the woods of Western Pennsylvania whenever I was a kid. So fairies to me now kind of become that that linchpin, if you will. They kind of become one of those dots in this tremendous network of dots that is the paranormal that we really have to kind of make a connection with. I just recently published a book with Small Town Monsters called Lights in the Mist, which delved into my encounters with these earth lights during the filming of one of the documentaries that we were doing. And I'm starting to believe that fairies may be the reason why certain places are haunted, why certain types of cryptids are seen. It may be really something from the other world that is either bleeding over into our world or somehow is able to project itself onto the canvas of our reality. And that's one of the things I'll be talking about when we come down to the conference as well. You know, Ann and I spoke at length about this, the idea of vibrations and frequencies and how all these things can affect the world around you in a very tangible way. So that is kind of my research right now. That is the way that I'm going. And you know, of course, this could change at any time. But the deeper I get down this proverbial rabbit hole that deals with fairies, the closer I am to thinking that I might be onto something. You know, if you look at fairy legends throughout the world, and fairies just aren't British owls type of creatures. You know, we have ideas of little people in Native American cultures. We have the Menehune in England, and we have the Pukwudgie in the Bridgewater Triangle area of Massachusetts. You know, we have them all over the world, and I think there's something to be said about that, because they're the givers of culture in all these different cultures that expand, that are separated by time and space. So not only are they the givers of culture, but they're also that conduit, kind of like the shaman between our world and the world of the natural, you know, the world of nature. So there's a lot that's really into these things. They carry a lot of baggage with them, and it's really nothing that we could do any kind of justice with in, you know, a 45-minute talk. We really have to go into depth whenever we talk about these things. I did write a book a few years ago called On Fairies, which is a historical survey and an analysis of the fairy realm. But it is really, truly one of my subjects. And like I said, for those people that are going to be getting those tickets, Ann, Celine, and I will be talking about this whenever we see you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait.
Some people view a fairy as, how do you view a fairy? Are they just like anything else, Ron? Can they be good? Can they be bad? I mean, what do you think their purpose is if they make themselves available to human beings?
Right. Well, I think the thing about fairies is they don't make themselves available to human beings.
Okay.
Encounters with fairies are usually very, serendipitous, I suppose. Like you really can't go out to catch a fairy. It has to be something that you kind of stumble over or trip over. Fairies usually are very ambiguous in nature, and we can project ourselves onto their nature and assign them either malevolence or benevolence. But for the most part, they are, you know, if you think of the personification of nature, they can be fickle, they can give, they can also take away. That really is the nature of the fairy. Now, there are reports and, you know, there are stories about places in England that are occupied by a genus loci, which is a local spirit. And oftentimes they take the form of what they call a brownie. And these kind of domestic spirits are said to help out around the house, but they can be easily offended. If you try to give them clothes, if you try to name them, anything that would put a domestication onto them is what would drive them away or cause them to become, less than agreeable. It's whenever we try to make them part of our world that they rebel. So the other thing about the fairy world, again, this is indicative of fairy legends around the world is the ability to shapeshift. In English, we have this incredible word, which is glamour, that we still use to this day, basically referring to women's cosmetics. And glamour was a medieval term that would be used to describe the fairies' ability to shapeshift, that they would be able to appear as something that they aren't. So there's the tales of the Yorkshire Giant, which is this, humongous creature, 10, 11 feet tall, that is said to haunt around roads at night, waiting for a lonely traveler to come by, and then it takes it and, cuts his head off and wears its rotting head around its belt, and you can hear the skulls clanking as it walks. And there's also a fairy called the Red Cap, which, again, lies in wait for anybody out traveling at night. And it has to keep its cat red by perpetually dyeing it in the blood of its victims. And if the hat dries out, it is said that the fairy no longer exists, that it dies away. So as you can see, there are different types of fairies and different, different traits and attributes that these creatures have. For the most part, if you do have a fairy problem, ignore it, but never try to stop it. It's one of those things. C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, he claims whenever he was younger that he visited a house that was haunted both by ghosts and fairies, and he said the fairies were far worse than the disembodied spirits. But the other thing, go ahead.
How would one know if they're haunted by fairies, if they have fairies?
That's a great question. So the way I usually do it, in my thinking, of course, I've never investigated any place like this before, but how much of the natural world comes into play, right? Is like, people talk about smells, like people talk about cigar smells, I can smell my aunt's perfume, that kind of stuff seems very pedestrian and very human. But I've heard people say that they smell like evergreen in their house, or the smell of roses and things. And I think whenever you see something that really isn't, you know what? Now I have to take that back, because I was going to say fairies tend to, they don't want to be seen, and oftentimes you hear them by their knocking and things. But then that explains a poltergeist, to the T too. So I guess that's a little difficult of a question. Now I do know that there are several Native American remedies if you are haunted by such a thing, and it's to grow certain types of plants and flowers around your house that acts as a natural barrier between their world and the other world. It's kind of like putting out mothballs so snakes don't come around. But I also know that you can also invite fairies into your home by bringing in certain types of plants, like wild thyme is one particular vegetable that will do that, one particular herb that will do it. Because a lot of people do want to invite fairies in, because it's believed. Now, this again is going to be something that's very Victorian. This is the time of theosophy. This is the time of people trying to come up with a new type of spirituality. So the idea of the fairy was something that was very attractive to people going through an industrial revolution. They wanted this return to nature. So they would attempt to invite fairies into their home, believing that they would be wholly beneficial. And like I said, they would do that by trying to create some sort of doorway or portal. And, to this very day, you can buy fairy doors that you can put in your home as kind of an artificially created portal between this world and the other world.
Interesting.
So you would suggest that they do travel via portals? And let me ask you too, we always throw this around, the two words, I get confused, and I think they're the same. Fairies and the Fae. Are they the same yet different, or just two different? Are they two different entities? Excuse me.
No, it's the same. So what is interesting about the etymology the etymology, sorry, not the insects, the etymology of the word fairy is it's a little bit circular. So fairy really means like something that resides in the world of the fae. So it's like the identification of the fairy is also explaining from whence it came. So it is like one of those really tenuous types of subjects. You know, people know about these things, but nobody can really pin them down and kind of put them under a microscope and examine them. Now, if you look at the Celtic tradition and the Tuatha De Danann, which is the people of the dawn, you know, these were kind of like the first born of creation that comes into this world, kind of the progenitors of the fairy. You know, they seem to have come from nothing, some sort of spontaneous generation from the earth itself. So, you know, if you think of the world in the Gaia theory, which I ascribe to, that the world is an intelligent organism capable of thought and intentions, then maybe the fairy are the firstborn of this world, and then everything else kind of comes after it as well.
Yeah. You know, I don't mean to like go off.
Oh, please do.
Topic here, but so a lot of people have heard me talk about this. We do private investigations, private ghost investigations for private houses. I wish you had more time when you come to Missouri because I'd take you. But there is a horse ranch outside of St. Louis that we worked this case for 5 years, and everything from like all kinds of paranormal. I mean, it was crazy active. Horses were dying. Her dogs were dying. It was awful. She sent her horses off to University of Missouri, came back. They couldn't find a cause for them. I mean, it was crazy. And so I reached out to, you know, I'd studied demonology, and it wasn't demonic, but it had a lot of the same signs, you know, the oppression and things like that. So I reached out to Jeremy Leonard, who Cajun demonologist. He's the one I studied demonology under, and I'm like, hey, I don't know what to do with this one. You know, we've been working on this case for 5 years. We've done, you name it, we've blessed it. Shaman out. We've done everything we can think of to do, but this woman is still tortured and these animals are dying. And he said, the Fae. And I'm like, and at the time, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You know, there's no, you know, I'm thinking of Tinkerbell, that kind of thing. And he said that, so that ranch used to be an apple orchard.
Yes.
All of the trees were taken down and made into individual paddocks for horses. Mm-hmm. So they were ticked off, and literally, so Jeremy said, listen, make them an offer. She needs to plant 2 trees and don't ever touch the apples on them. You know, they're their apples. And you know, Ron, we did that. And that has been about 4 years ago. And she has not had a problem since.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. I love that.
We went through, I'm not kidding you. Like we started with ghost and, you know, like the demonic type things, and just like, I was out of answers. I had no answer for her. I couldn't help her, you know, and then and it was such an easy fix.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because we talk about the origin of the Fae and fairies. And that's something that's been debated for quite a while. Excuse me. You know, King James, who we get the King James Bible from, before he had that Bible commissioned, he wrote a book on demonology, and he claimed that fairies were fallen angels. Mm-hmm. Now, whenever you look at Paracelsus and people in the Renaissance that were practicing alchemy, that's really whenever you get this connection with fairies being the intelligences within the world itself. But yes, before that, they were seen as, you know, basically, you know, either demonic, unbaptized children, fallen angels, you know, the whole thing. But they were attributed with our notion of good and evil, right? We projected onto them a very Judeo-Christian kind of ideal whenever we look at them. Like I said, in my book that I wrote on fairies, I look at them as being so part of the natural world that they are as unpredictable as that as well, too. You know, they can rain on you, and they can also provide sunshine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy world we live in. I got to tell you, because I never would have thought fairies or fae or that's stuff that is in children's books.
Well, see, that's the other thing. So, J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings, he wanted the elves in the Lord of the Rings to be fairies, but he couldn't do it because he said the Victorians so ruined the notion of the fae that you would never be able to portray fairies like that again. So it was the Victorians that gave them the diaphanous wings, and it was the Victorians that made them into these little Tinkerbells. So before that, nobody would have ever wanted to be, think their kids were playing with fairies. That was something that you wouldn't want to do,
Right.
Not only because of their mischievous nature, but also with their penchant for taking children away. If you step into a fairy ring, it has been said that you would be whisked into their world for seven years in a day, or sometimes they would even, take your children. And if you were lucky, they would replace it with a changeling, which was one of their children. So yeah, the idea that the fairies are, what they are now is definitely not what they were 120 years ago. Things have changed that drastically.
Wow.
And with the fae and the fairies, Ron, I'm sure, and the elementals we spoke on is something totally different, correct?
Or so again, if we look at alchemy, so whenever we talk about air, water, spirit, the earth, all these things, in order to understand how the interactions work, and in order to understand how they could be beneficial to us, it was necessary to understand and then ultimately be able to commune with the spirit that inhabited that particular element. So basically, all of nature and all of creation was imbued with intelligences, and it was up to the alchemist to understand what intelligence that you're looking to commune with, right? In order to bend it to your own. So the air was often regarded as the domain of the sylph, and that is where you get something very close to like a fairy. They were sometimes portrayed as having wings, but probably not corporeal wings, more like an energy pulse or something like that. But then in the water, you had that was the domain of the undine, which was represented as a mermaid. And then fire was the salamander, which was a creature thought impervious to heat. And the earth itself was the gnome, who Dave Scott, I'm sure, would appreciate that. But the gnome the name was actually invented by Paracelsus, who also invented the word zinc. So this was not only people that were trying to take base metals and convert them into something precious, but this was the infancy of chemistry, and this was the infancy of pharmacology. And Paracelsus thought that by using minerals, that could help the human body. And it was those steps that he had taken to actually further on our understanding of mineralogy to this day. So the person that discovered and named the mineral zinc also believed in gnomes and fairies and mermaids. And he believed that in order to understand and put our lives at ease, we had to understand the working of this invisible realm as well.
Wow.
Do you think oftentimes we get caught out in the woods, caught up into one of these realms, and we don't know it? I mean, I've done many and heard many stories, told many stories about, excuse me, people getting lost in the woods. They're in a unfamiliar, they're in a place they've been hiking for 30 years. Then all of a sudden, they don't know where they're at. They have no clue where they're at, Ron. They look around, they tend to get a little worried. Then maybe within minutes, they snap out of it or go back to the familiar side. And sometimes there's been stories where it's taken days. Is that something? I believe that happens. I'm just wondering now if instead of just talking about a portal, that the fairy element has something to play with this, maybe going into their realm inadvertently.
I think it does, and I will give you firsthand account. I was at a park. It's a fairly big park, probably 400 or 500 acres. It's a pretty sizable park, but most of the park is made up of these two very large lakes. So it's basically park. The woods circulates around the lake. So there's a walking path around the lake, and it's pretty well marked off. Like, you'd have to be an idiot not to be able to find your way back. But somehow I was an idiot one particular day. Now, what's odd is that, people use this for recreational purposes, swimming, boating, fishing, all that kind of stuff. And there's several parking lots. And I knew that my car was like, in several hundred yards away. Like, I could see the water. I knew where I was at. I just, for some reason, came off the trail. I knew where I had to go, but it seemed like as I attempted to get there, I wasn't making any progression whatsoever. And as I kind of like went around, back and forth, kind of running around in circles, chasing my tail, I swear to you that something laughed at me. It was a high-pitched kind of giggle almost, as if whatever was there in the woods was having a bit of a laugh at what I was doing. Now, I also, in my book, The Unexplained World of the Chestnut Ridge, I interviewed a PhD. She was a doctor of education, principal of the local high school. She, her husband, and her children were on a hike on the Chestnut Ridge, and they were lost for 24 hours. And the search party actually had to go out and find them. Again, it's on the ridge. All you have to do is walk downhill and you will come to a town, right? But for some reason, the woods had changed in such a way, the same way they changed in my experience, they changed in such a way that what was familiar was now very, very foreign to me. The same thing happened to her.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it's stepping into a portal, or maybe the worlds are colliding or whatever, or it just simply could be that we step into the unfamiliar. Something that's very familiar with them. It's kind of like, that's their living room. And maybe every now and then they'll put a couch in another area, or a dining room table someplace else, and then we kind of get lost or whatever. But yet we have to take into consideration that, if these creatures are vibrational and, based upon frequency, which I am tending to believe, then those frequencies and all that energy can now affect us as well, too, and how we perceive reality. And it sounds far-fetched, but in order to make some sort of cohesive statement about this stuff, you have to look at the world of psychology. And we do know that light and energy and frequency and electricity all play a role in how modern psychiatrics work. We use certain types of pulsating light to bring up traumas, to induce, a hypnotic state. And we know that this, energy within our mind can be influenced by other energies directed at it. And, there are different electronic ways in which people with schizophrenia are treated. So we know that, very real results can be made to the human mind by introducing certain types of, electricity into it. So think about this for a second. If the world is made up of, all these great creatures, and there are also citizens of this world that are made up of intelligent energy, what would they be capable of doing? By entering into their world, by entering into their kingdom, if you will, it's very possible that they can, introduce into our minds what they want us to see, hear, feel, all that other stuff. In the Bigfoot world, we talk about infrasound, right? We talk about Bigfoot being able to be, territorial without confrontational. So take infrasound to the very next level and just say, without using that kind of sound frequency, what happens if it's using an electricity frequency and able, like I said, to actually, change the chemicals within your mind or change the energies within our mind, or even infrasound can work that as well too. We know a lot about infrasound because it has a military component. And we know that whenever infrasound is used on the battlefield, people have talked about not feeling like they're alone, that there's something in the room with them or something around them, hearing voices that aren't there, and an overall feeling of the paranormal. And this was a study done by MSNBC, I believe about 20 years ago. And that was one of the hot topics within this particular article, is that infrasound can induce feelings of what they called the paranormal.
Kind of like a EMF type thing, like
absolutely, yeah, right. Yep, exactly.
Interesting. So can you touch maybe a little bit on Pukwudgies? I had a friend who actually saw 5 of them come out of a tree. She didn't even know what it was. And this was like 20 years ago. She never told anybody. She tried to tell her ex-husband and father-in-law at the time, but they laughed her off. And so she's like, I seen these things. We reunited after many years. And she said, I seen these porcupine looking things walk out of a tree on all fours. And she said, and she was in a deer stand and tree stand. And she said, and then they got up on 2 legs and they walked away. And she's like, I swear to God, I'm not lying, blah, 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 blah. And we come to the conclusion. I showed her, like different pictures of different type of things, and it was Pukwudgies that she saw. And I told her, I said, you're pretty lucky to be alive.
Absolutely. So, and that's one of my favorite types of beings in the fairy realm. And I actually had a chance to go up to the Bridgewater Triangle to look for these little son of a guns, but I couldn't find any. But they're very curious because they have a relation to what is called the pixie over in the British Isles. The pixie often takes the form of a hedgehog. And it's interesting that they saw these as almost porcupine type of creatures, correct?
That's what she said. Yeah, she had no idea what it was.
So the word Pukwudgie comes from the Wampanoag language. And they started out as the givers of culture again. Like they taught people how to hunt. They taught people how to make fire and how to harvest and plant and all this kind of stuff. And then all these stories, even the ancient Celtic stories, is at one time there's a falling out, right? And there's this kind of war between man and fairy. And it's during that war then that they turn their backs on humanity, and then they become wholly part of the woods. And if anybody walks into the woods, you're kind of trespassing on their territory. So again, they're also seen as magical. Pukwudgies can appear and disappear at will if they want to. They often have been said to be able to change forms as well. And creepy as well too, that they are also said to actually go into neighborhoods and seek out people as well. I've heard quite a few stories about that in the suburban areas, to go up and actually confront people and seeming to wanting to beguile them into their woods.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, what you struck a chord with me. I was thinking of her encounter, and you said, like the portals, like these, they, come in and out of the portals. Well, she said these things come out of a tree. So I'm wondering if that tree, was holding a portal. There's a portal there, and it,
Absolutely, 100%. And we also know that trees do have energy as well. It's been recently proven that trees produce frequencies to the point that you can actually, make music out of that frequency. And we also know that they communicate through the root system and just through their vibrations. They can communicate. So if you are one with the natural world, then there's no reason why you could not use that energy as a portal or as a catalyst to go from place to place. I see that as completely legitimate theory.
Yeah.
I always say that trees out in the forest is the nature's internet.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Yep.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. We've got a couple questions. I'd like to have for Ron from some of our people out in the chat room really quickly, because I know that right around 10, you might have to make like a fairy and vanish. You know, I know
That's
you got
right.
a big thing.
Until my cryptozoological or paranormal ship comes in, as my mother would say, I have to work a regular job. So it's off the bed for me to get up in the morning and start. But no, I wish I had more time. But yes, I'll definitely answer some questions.
Yeah, if we want to pull those up, I think Chris, tell me. You
I've
want to
been
do it?
starring them as I see them.
Yeah, I see. You got some. Well, you can read them. I can. It don't matter.
You want me to read them so you can
Yeah.
give your voice a break?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ruptured Duck asks, Ronald Murphy, did you ever find any Bigfoots or signs or have any sightings of Bigfoot in Western Pennsylvania?
So I found tracks, absolutely. And the other thing that led me down this ferry corridor is the tracks that I discovered were quite small. They were human, but they were size of about a toddler's tracks. And I talked to Stan Gordon, who's a researcher in this area, and he said for several decades, small tracks have been reported, but nobody really likes to report on them. Basically in the media because it does not fit the image of Bigfoot, right? There's no Littlefoot out there. So yeah, and I've heard vocalizations in Western Pennsylvania as well too, and tree knocks. And if you're interested in watching one of the shows that delve into the research into that, I would suggest Small Town Monsters, Sasquatch Uncovered, The Ridge, which is on YouTube, and you can watch it for absolutely free.
Yep, worth watching.
Yep,
all right.
Thank you.
Next question. T-Bone asks, Ron, where do the pixies fit in?
Well, we did talk about pixies. So basically, it's human beings that have to catalog things, right? We like categories. So we have things like, we give them names like Pukwudgie and pixies and brownies and a myriad of things. Bogarts, kobolds, all this kind of stuff. The gray man, which is kind of like this very Bigfoot-like character that exists up in Scotland, but it can become fog as well. So yeah, we like to project ourselves onto the world because then maybe we can understand a little bit better. But in the world of the fairy, even though we name things, the clarity of what these things are never becomes crystal clear.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Riley Ron says, are fairies good, evil, or in between like humans?
Yeah, I'm going to go with in between like humans. I really think that's the case. One of the old adages is don't piss off the fairies. So basically, they're going to probably leave well enough alone if you leave well enough alone. So you could probably have some sort of very harmonious coexistence as long as you don't do anything. Like you said, cut down an orchard or I've heard stories about, cutting down a tree, something as simple as that. Yeah, just respect the world around you, I think, is the biggest takeaway of all this.
Yeah. And why, I know you answered it earlier, but I'm sitting here thinking, like some people want fairies and stuff in their house. Me personally, I don't think I would.
That's
right. If they're that easy to tick off, that's my luck. I would tick them off and then I would pay for it,
I absolutely know. I do know that there are legends like the leprechaun in Ireland, if you had shoes that needed fixed, leave them out and they have been said, they'll fix your shoes if you leave them a glass of milk or some honey or whatever. And also there have been brownies known to finish up housework and, do laundry and stuff. And I will tell you, the Murphy household definitely does not have a brownie in it. But I think those are awesome little stories. But they're also stories that have a bit of an ominous tone to them as well, too. Because again, if you rely on somebody other than yourself, you're going to end up losing in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. There looks like there was one more question for you. Sinfully asked, Ed Ronald, do you think fairies could be caught on EVP? Good question.
Absolutely, yeah. I do think that whenever people go ghost hunting or Bigfoot hunting or anything of that nature, I think a lot of times people are overlooking certain types of things because they're looking for that big catch. and they're not, listening for something like a laughter or, something trying to whisper into your ear, or, maybe that unexplained orb that is out there in the middle of the woods, or, the orb that's going through the house may not be, great Uncle Joe coming back to visit you. It might be something far different.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. Real quick, Patty said she asked a question, and I'm sorry, Patty, I missed it. If you could ask it again, I'd be glad to ask Ron. But the ones that I caught, that was all of them. So
yeah, I did want to ask you. Well, I got a few minutes left, Ron. Out in the what's the Chestnut Ridge, correct? Western Pennsylvania. See here in pardon me. Yeah,
Yep, that's right. You're right. Yep.
In Michigan, Wexford County is the capital of Dogman, right where I live. So would you say that in Western Pennsylvania, is that the capital of the cryptids, or is that a blend of both cryptid and paranormal? Because I hear so much about that part of the state.
Yeah, we have over towards the central part of the state something called the Lichen Loop, which I'm sure you heard about. But here in the Chestnut Ridge area, it's Bigfoot, it's UFOs, it's ghosts, it's Dogman. It seems like the perfect storm for a lot of different types of things. So not just one. Like, so if you're a generalist, this is the place to be. If you're looking, if you're into Dogman, then it's going towards the Lichen Loop over on that side would be better for you. But over here, the reason why I still live around this area is because it is a hotbed for everything. People do report fairies around here. People report thunderbirds, and people report, all kinds of strange and bizarre creatures.
So you have a nice blend for everybody.
We do. Whatever fits your fancy.
Yeah.
Yep. Little Patty did ask real quick. She says, "What are the fairy rings? Are they portals for them?"
So I'm going to say absolutely. They are portals, but you have to explain that a little bit. So fairy rings are often associated with a ring of mushrooms because it was believed that fairies had been dancing there the night before, and as they rolled around, their feet trod down the ground, and in its place, mushrooms bloomed. And it's believed too that if you step inside that ring, then that becomes a way for you to teleport then into their realm as well. But I studied fairy rings, in depth, and then I thought about crop circles, because if you look at medieval accounts of crop circles, and they do exist, it's portrayed as the devil that's doing the mowing and making these concentric circles like that. But it always comes back to this idea of circles and circles. And I thought, well, you look at places like Avery, the Avery circle, stone circle, and places like Stonehenge, and you see the Seven Sisters up in the Isle of Skye in Scotland. I'm thinking, is it possible that when we were so connected with the world around us, we saw this happen more often, and we knew the power of the Fae, and we also recognized their kind of magical qualities in this respect, and then they put stone structures up as memorials to what they witnessed. And that's why Stonehenge came to play, and that's why all these standing stones all over the world exist. Now, not only that, but here in North America, and actually this is all over the world as well too, China, North America, I include this in my book on fairies as well too, you can take a look at it. But all these different cultures as well have in their iconography these swirling circles. And sometimes it even shows figures coming in and coming out of them. So I'm thinking that the ancients knew about this kind of stuff. They did memorialize it, and we're just coming now to understand what it all means.
Wow.
Final question for you for the holidays, Ron. We're getting close. Santa Claus.
Yes.
Elf or member of the Fae?
Elves and fairies are the same thing, my friend. It's not something
really.
It becomes even more confusing. So that's the Scandinavian version of the fairy. So Santa Claus, if you think about was the night before Christmas, he's described as the jolly old elf. And now we point out that his fairy connection. He had a sleigh led by 8 tiny reindeer. So he, in and of himself, was a very diminutive figure. And he also possessed magic because he could put his finger upside his nose and disappear up the chimney. So he is definitely one of those things that is ascribed to the fairy realm.
Wow.
Very interesting. I never thought about it that way. When you say 8 tiny reindeer, I just, kind of went along with it all these years. And now I'm kind of picturing a diminutive Santa and his reindeer.
Exactly right.
In your
Exactly right.
garage.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Or in a Volkswagen.
Yeah, he was just one of these little creatures that was going around doing good. Now, keep in mind, though, Santa Claus, okay, you got to treat him right. Milk and cookies, right? I mean, you still have to appease, or again, if you piss him off, you get cold.
Well, you know what, though? Right. It's too bad you don't have enough time, but I'll just tell you briefly. I won't get into the whole thing. I just did a story on Santa Claus versus Krampus. And did you know, and I never knew this way back when in Germany or in Europe, that they were actually friends at one point, and Santa leaned on Krampus to take care of the bad kids. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was believed that a saint could not punish. So he had to have a buddy go with him. And so not only Krampus, but you also have a figure called Black Pete. And they all basically work the same. They're the ones that listen. They really, I mean, it's kind of creepy if you think about it. They stand outside of your house listening for what's going on inside. And then Santa will give the good kids, goodies. But Krampus will either beat them with rods or put them into sacks and take them away.
Yeah. That's something else. Take them away and we don't know where. Well, I kind of have an idea as to where.
Me too, brother.
But yeah. Hey, it's always been great having you on the show, Ronald. I know you got to get to bed. Really quickly, where can we find? Yeah, you're all right. Where can we find your books? And I got to post this for everybody. Books, website. Where can we find you?
Go to Amazon.com for my books. Also, you can go to Small Town Monsters too for my Lights in the Mist book. But yeah, anything Ron Murphy is always going to be found, like everything else, which is on Amazon.
Awesome.
And I look forward to meeting you in Missouri here the 19th and the 20th coming up. Probably quicker than we all think.
Oh, absolutely, guys. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you there, Rob, and you, the beautiful, lovely Krista. Thank you for having me on, and we shall chat again very soon. Merry Christmas to you guys as well, too, and watch out for Krampus.
For sure.
Yeah, I was about to say. Great show always with Ron. You'll be a featured. You'll be a featured speaker for us in our Crossing Realms conference.
And he's going to be talking more on the Fae too. So I can sit and listen about the Fae all day long, though.
You can, and I thought that was interesting. I know it's Christmas season. A week away is New Year's Eve already from today, but really, I wasn't just making that up when 8 tiny reindeer. I never thought about it that way. I just thought it was part of the song or the poem. But that does make sense, eh?
Sure does.
Just go anywhere.
They are all around us. That's what I'm saying. I guess maybe that's why I really like the Fae, because a lot of it is like my childhood. If you really think about it, it is.
It kind of is, isn't it? And we grew up to it with Tinkerbell. What that was way back when, and
trolls and fairies and just all of it. So and now Santa and the reindeer.
And he also mentioned those JJ, or is it J.R. Tolkien books and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Those movies that have been out.
Yep.
We were all pretty young when we first seen them. I mean, younger, not kids, but it's just it's something. And I'll be looking forward to listening to him.
Yeah, that was great. When he comes on. Yeah, that was great that he come on for sure. I got a question for you though.
Yes.
What do you think of all these drones?
Well, I did a little show Saturday when you're off about the drones.
I'm sorry, I was tired.
Oh yeah, you know what? I'll tell you exactly what I'm gonna. I'm going to put the reverse question. I'm going to reverse the question
Mhm.
because I want your take on this really quick. I just hope I didn't delete it. Okay, no, I did not. Yeah, I did this Saturday night for and I had a good story too Saturday night. You missed it out. You missed out. Oh, first of all, I'll be starting this Saturday night, Krista. I got to add music to it though.
Oh, that's cool.
Da-da, late nights, weekly bizarre news.
That's cool.
We'll be doing that come Saturday night.
Awesome.
And then we'll break. What I'll do is I'm going to have some stanzas from the news, bizarre news that we'll break down as well. But this was really cool. Anthony Esenbler sent me this.
Looking drunk. Look at it. Look at this thing. Holy shit. Looking drunk. Look at it. Look at this thing. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was. Listen, I guess we've all seen the drones. Texas in the chat. He weighed in on that. I tell you what, I'd be annoyed with the hundreds that have been filtering in New Jersey and New York City, though.
Well, somebody in chat just said now they've been seen in Oklahoma. I know Missouri has had a couple of sightings. But I've also heard, I watch other shows on this too. They talked about some of these drones are spraying something. What do you think that is?
Well,
I've
not heard that.
I got pews too. She said I would take it down. I'm with you, girlfriend.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to speculate on the spray. I haven't heard that. I can't think of anything positive.
Yeah, I mean, it said that they're spraying something,
Hey, listen, if it was the middle of the spring or the summer and they're over a field, I can see, maybe pesticide or.
Yeah, but it's not. It's in the middle of cities, So.
Well, I have to tell you that I don't know. It's all speculation. A lot of people are making a lot of it, and maybe it's really nothing. But I just think it's unusual that all of a sudden they're swarming certain parts, and now it's kind of going out into more toward the Midwest and West Coast. It all started on the East Coast.
I think they're trying to get our attention away from something bigger that's going on. Maybe going to happen.
Maybe.
That's what I think.
I had a guy tell me that he thought that it's our government's drones, especially these big ones. You couldn't get the scale on that last one I showed you. According to Anthony, it was very sizable, and you could hear, if you could hear it in the background, it sounded like it was pretty big.
Yeah,
you and I can't afford that drone. Put it to you that way.
No, they say they're the size of cars.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are going down to the local hobby shop, dropping,
Yeah, there's a couple comments in here. Woo Writers said CIA, FBI made a statement today saying they aren't USA drones. I personally don't believe everything that they tell us. So,
well, then if they're not USA drones, what are they doing in the air?
Right.
We should be shooting them down.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
That also goes back to this point, though. A guy was telling me he thinks they are ours because he fears that there are terrorists in our country on foot, putting nuclear devices in the earth. And these drones are specially made to find them. Or like Sonny says here, biological warfare.
Yeah.
So, and again, I don't mean to scare people. This is what this is theory.
Yeah.
He knows people in the army, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But there's all sorts of things that we can draw on from this. And like I told the story Saturday night, this was 2 summers ago. I'm in my buddy's backyard. We're hanging out on his deck poolside. And this drone flies over into his yard. and it literally hovers 20 feet above the pool where we're all at. And it had a camera and it was taking pictures.
See, that's not right.
And listen to this. But he gets a text message about a minute or two after the drone took off. And the guy sent him a text and said, "Oh yeah, this is my drone. I'm your neighbor." Ha ha ha. Which, okay, finally he was relieved
Yeah.
that he knew who it was, but
Yeah. Talk
let's
about
just
invasion of
amplify that over
privacy.
somebody. Yeah, it's
Yeah. My
either
neighbor
invasion
would be
of
losing
privacy.
the drone.
If there was a drone over my,
Mhm.
I'm shooting it down. But I heard you can't do that. I heard it's against the law.
Well, you know what? If they got a camera and they're filming me in my backyard, then I'm sorry, I'm shooting them down. They have no business.
You know,
You
got to find out if you can. I'm shooting it down if it's got a camera.
know, like Paul said, that's a little creepy. That's a lot creepy.
That is creepy.
Yeah. Why would anybody do that? You know.
Mr. Anderson says it's a fun Christmas conspiracy.
Could be.
But I also think that that's a good point you brought up about steering us all away from
Mhm.
something that is much bigger in the cahoots, in the works,
Yeah.
that maybe the government doesn't want us knowing
Yeah.
about.
Well, Deborah says that Trump said the same thing today, that they are ours. They are sniffer looking for nuclear ingredients. Maybe so.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
maybe
See,
so.
Donald Trump said that. See, okay, well,
She said so.
I heard that. I didn't listen to the news at all today or yesterday or
Mhm.
the day before. Usually when I'm out doing the show, I'm lights out, man. I'm in my chair trying to get unsick.
Yeah, I
I've
hear you.
taken every drug, legal drug, over the counter drug, and from my doctor. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now it's to the point where food don't even taste right because I got so much medication in me. I
Oh, yeah.
think maybe that's the problem. Wean
Yeah.
off of that, start drinking a lot more water, I think.
Well, I know. So my boss has been sick for like 2 weeks now, and she still said that she's not there yet. So it's going around. We're at last week. So I hope that's not what you have, but it takes a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think this will be shit second week for me. I think I was sick last Tuesday, was I not?
You had just started getting sick.
So that's 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
Christmas Eve will be 3 weeks. I guess the timetable for a lot of people have had this though.
Mhm.
So from what I hear, my
Yeah.
buddy's been sick for a month, and
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in 2 months. So I didn't get it from him, but he
I
said
think
he's
it's just
had it.
going around,
I
you
think
know?
I think it's an a virus,
Yeah.
some sort of virus.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Or it's whatever the drones are dropping down on us.
Well, maybe it's that stuff they were spraying.
Spraying, yeah.
A different
They
way to spread disease outside of the monkey
could be.
from China, those Chinese monkeys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or who was it? I just seen somebody in chat. Sinfully says RSV.
It's going
What
around.
is that? What is that?
It's a upper respiratory.
Respiratory.
Yeah, it could be dangerous if you're a young child, young baby, or an elderly adult, or anybody with like breathing issues or asthma, or could be very dangerous. Yeah, it's no
Well,
good.
you know, my mom had pneumonia for a week,
Mhm.
and you don't want a person up there in age getting pneumonia.
No,
And
that's
she's still
dangerous
sick,
too.
and she's still extremely sick, getting better. But
Is she really?
oh yeah,
She's been sick for a couple weeks. So when I had pneumonia, I think I had what you had because it just lasted forever and it went into pneumonia because I couldn't knock it. I couldn't knock that sickness. So I'm pretty sure that I had that, and it went on about 3 weeks for me as well. So,
well, we'll see because I definitely don't feel myself. I mean, I talk for a long period of time like this. I start coughing. And my voice just starts to go crazy. I did want to thank Sinfully Wicked for being a new member. She also bought 2 of my books. She already read one of them, she told me. So thanks for that. Joe Pops for your super chat. T-Bone for gifting 5 new pirates. And then Ridge Runner gifted 10 new pirates. Thanks to Ridge for that. Thanks for the support in that, everybody. That's awesome. And so. But yeah, the drones is quite the thing. I think you brought a good point. I didn't even think about that maybe it's just reflecting something else, right?
that's what I really, really believe that. So, I'm just saying, just be aware, people, be aware.
Yeah, you don't want to, I've yet to see one lately. I mean, the last one I saw was 2 years ago over at my friend's house. That was it.
Mhm.
But now, like, I mean, if you go on the news, I mean, they're all over in New Jersey, all over in New York.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, there are more places than that. Like I said, there's a couple YouTube channels I follow. Omar is one of them, and then Mo Sargi, and they just went, I don't know, somewhere in New York where they weren't supposed to be. I like watching them because they break the law, and they go to these places, and yeah, they film some. So it was really cool. Hey, Lady Ann Selena's in chat.
Yeah. Lady Ann just missed Ron. I was about to type.
You did, yeah. Yeah, he has to go to work tomorrow. So, yep. So anyway, it's yeah. Like I said, the drone. I think it'd be for too long. Just it's more and more. It's becoming more common now.
It's be part of life like anything else. Oh, there's a drone. No big deal.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
it's taking a picture of me in my backyard. I'm used to it. I mean, isn't that how we are though, as humans?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, it's to be like, who cares? Like,
yeah.
Who cares about COVID? Who cares anymore? I don't. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be another disease coming in another half a decade or so. Anyway,
Yeah.
we all know it, and we expect it, right? I fully expect it. So
yeah. The thing is, it's mass hysteria. I think. I don't know. I think I came on this show because I was really, really perturbed last week about it. But my daughter, as most people know, she does color guard. And she texted me and she said there were 2 girls at school that had both tested positive, knowing they had COVID and were at school, and she was with them. So I think it was your show I came on. I was really venting, going off on them.
Mm-hmm.
However, by the end of the week, there's 18 girls in the color guard and 9 of them tested positive. How we, knock on wood, missed it, I have no idea. I've been making Ava quarantine away from me, but knock on wood, we have missed it.
Yes, indeed. Knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to. Anyway, you just don't want to get any of that. I don't even have what I have, what my mom's got, but it's especially it all comes around this time of year too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You got with the change, always December, February, December.
Yep.
And
it's that time of year. You know what I'm saying? It's just.
It is, and that. This is weird, Krista. Brent Thomas was on last Thursday with me in Tex. Brent Thomas has been holding down the fort with me in Tex on Thursday afternoons to the rest of
on that one.
Huh? You were on that. Okay, yes, you were. I'm sorry. Yes, because so you remember when you got that phone call?
Yes.
And it was somebody.
Somebody had passed.
Yeah. So okay, and so we're like, say, hey, we're sorry. He goes, yeah, well, part of the family, but somebody that a distant relative. So it's not funny, but it's kind of odd that when he said that on the show, I got this weird vibe though. I got this feeling. And then about a minute later, my phone starts to ring and I don't answer. I don't look at my phone when we're on a show, right? I just wait till after the show. I get I pick up the phone after the show and it's my sister-in-law, Karen. And so I call her back. So, boy, this was kind of strange. Keep in mind about Brent Thomas. I get a bad vibe. I get a call. I don't answer the phone. Okay. Now, call Karen. My Uncle Jay and my Aunt Sandy. My Aunt Sandy was my dad's sister. Uncle Jay is her second husband. But he's my uncle. I've known him for like 30 plus years. Great guy. He got a call. His son is 55. Got a call. His son died. A minute or two. I got that call a minute or two after Brent had that vibe, and I got that vibe, and that was just so odd.
That is odd.
A distant relative. I've never met the kid once in my life ever. I just know that my Uncle Jay had a son from another marriage, and it was just like, how weird is that?
That is really weird. That's odd.
Yeah, and
Very weird.
And of course, that funeral was this past Saturday, which I did not go to because I miss getting people sick, But boy, I did tell Brent that. I might tell him Thursday. He'll be on Thursday again, I think.
Yeah.
And
It's weird.
isn't that weird
Definitely
how
weird.
that happens?
It is.
It all happens in unison.
Mhm.
We've got we'll close it up just by reminding everybody what we got going on here.
Can I say something real quick though?
Oh, you can. Oh, don't. Yeah, you can say whatever the hell you want.
This Friday night, Blondes will have a show on Thursday, but Friday night we are canceling our Friday night show. So just let everybody know.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder because today's Tuesday, so Thursday I'll be on me, Tex, and Brent. Saturday I'll be on with you guys. I'm having a party Saturday, but I plan on a Saturday at midnight. I do plan on doing that, but I will not be on unless you girls can't make it or whatever. And then Tuesday is Christmas Eve. Today, next Tuesday is Christmas Eve. So we won't have a show Christmas Eve.
Today? Okay.
And I don't know about Thursday yet. So, so the last show really with you might just be Saturday until Christmas.
Yeah.
Cool. And of course, we have the conference coming up. Everybody, we're gonna be peppering this to everybody until probably until the 19th. We got this, and look at I love those colors how they pop. Jason McLean did the art. He did a great job, didn't he? Not?
He absolutely did a great job. Yes, he did.
Crossing Realms Conference, UFOs, Paranormal, Cryptid, September 19th and 20th in Richmond, Missouri. And he got all these speakers on there pretty good as well.
Yeah, he did. He did a great job. He's actually has to make another flyer. And I've kind of been texting back and forth with him because we're getting so many special guests coming to the conference. So, so yeah, I sent him pictures of the other ones. So
yeah, and our ghost hunt, we're down to 6 tickets. You said
four tickets, and we are not adding any more. When these 4 are gone, they're gone. We're not adding any more. So, and literally, guys, thanks, Maggie. Every speaker and every special guest has said that they are going to do the ghost hunt. So, yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that for sure. Thank you, Maggie, as well for that awesome super sticker.
Yeah, thank you,
Maggie from Australia. Is there Santa in Australia, Maggie? What do you call Santa in Australia? Type it in the chat. Just trying to kill a little bit of time here.
Yeah, so I met a lady tonight from Nepal, and me being me, the first thing I said is, "Oh my God, that's where you got Yetis." She knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah. The Yeti.
Kind of looked at me.
or Yowies.
Yeah. She literally just moved here like 2 years ago from Nepal.
So Maggie says, yeah, Santa is Santa. So
okay.
I'm glad we got that cleared up because I did not know.
Did you see what she said he wears? He wears flip-flops and board shorts, though.
Oh, well, he's probably about 40 pounds thinner,
Right?
Yeah, well, that's cool,
funny.
though.
Very cool.
Hey, Werewolf. Hey, if you guys are late coming in, we had a great show. Ron Murphy spent an hour with us. A great discussion about the Fae and Fairies. He, of course, will be a speaker in September with us. So check out the replay. If you're new here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Mystery Lab on YouTube, The Blondes and the Booze, Paranormal Podcast, Texas Front Porch, of course, all found on YouTube. And everybody like button if you've not done it already. On your way out, hit the like. And so anything else you got? It's the end of the show. You can hear my voice a little bit. What's going on, Chris? So we can.
I was just going to say, Maggie said some call it Father Christmas too in the UK. Santa's Father Christmas.
Okay.
I've heard that too.
I've heard of Father Time.
Okay.
Did you? Maybe not so much for Santa. I think it has something to do with New Year's.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Father
Isn't that
Time.
weird how like all these different countries, I mean, like they all have their different little,
I think,
holidays.
when I did that, well, I found it very interesting when I was just doing a little bit of that research about, I actually researched Saint Nick and Krampus, not Santa
Mhm.
Claus, right?
Right.
So Saint Nick actually was a person.
Mhm.
Krampus was a person. So they were not made
Well,
up.
wasn't Saint Nick? Didn't he start out as Kris Kringle?
He did from Germany.
Mhm.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he used to give to the poor. He really
Mhm.
did, right?
Yeah.
And he
What
met
about
this
if they
guy.
would like leave a pair of shoes out, then he'd come by
Yes.
and he'd put something like in their shoe or something. Yeah.
Yep. I bet his buddy Krampus will be the bad guy that would make sure all the bad kids were obeying mom and dad.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
all got their coal.
Yeah, they got their call, right. So they worked hand in hand. And then what happened though, as how all folklore starts and whole narratives, and I
Mhm.
really can't call this folklore because they're two people that existed, right?
Yeah.
But you know how we do it in America.
Mhm.
Spun it, the narrative, and
Yeah.
Krampus is evil, takes you to pits of hell, and
Yeah.
Santa, is this good old jolly elf that does his thing, right?
Yeah. It just, the different holidays. Again, this lady that I met earlier, we were talking and
Yes,
she told me that
simply.
her favorite American holiday is Halloween. She says there is nowhere else you can go door to door and get candy. I'm like, yeah.
No, that's right. And Sinfully's got a great memory because she saw the video.
Left gold.
I remember you saying you left gold or something. Yes, he did for the
Yep.
women. In
Mhm.
fact, the very first time there was this man that had 3 daughters and felt sorry for all 3 daughters. So as they got of the age, he gave all 3 a dowry of gold. Yeah, very good. Thanks, Sin, for remembering that because I apparently forgot it.
Mhm.
But yeah, but yeah. So, but I think it's very interesting.
Yeah,
Very
I do
interesting.
too. I do too. I'm all about it. I can't believe Christmas is less than it's just right about a week away.
I think I say that every year
Mhm.
when Christmas is a week away.
Yep.
And then, and as it comes, as fast as it comes, it's gone. And then even though, and then January and February that are upcoming, I do not like either of those 2 months. They're cold, they're long, they're
Yeah, I
dark.
don't like him either.
And I don't even care for March too much.
Yeah, March, the beginning of March, no, but that means it's closer to April,
Maybe
and
it
which
get
is a little
close.
warmer.
Yes.
So, Paranormal Paul says he's getting a thunderstorm now. Well, I'm glad it's on your side of St. Louis and not mine because I'm not getting diddly here.
No, we
Yeah,
just have 37 cloudy here.
yeah, it's 50 here.
Oh, it's 50. Wow. 50. Wow.
Yeah, yesterday it was like I think the high got to 64,
Didn't really 60 cheese. Well,
which is
I
weird
tell
for
you,
Missouri at this time.
we usually hit the 50s. And yes, BJ,
Mhm.
Krampus did put kids in a sack and took them to the woodshed to straighten them out. Absolutely, he did.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Krampus, not a good guy, not at all.
No, but the movie's great though.
Yeah, of course.
The red one. Ace Banner says, Rob, have you seen the red one yet? It's on Amazon Prime. I have not. I'm gonna look that up.
No, I'll look it
Write
up.
that down.
I'll look that up because after this show, I'm gonna have more tea and honey and just
Mhm.
watch some movie or something. But
Yeah.
I want again, great show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. My voice is about ready to run out of gas again, everybody. Again. So thanks for coming in. Hit the like button on your way out.
Yep.
And we'll see Krista and you'll see me Thursday afternoon, Krista and the blondes, the blonde.
Actually, Brandy won't be on Thursday. She's got something to do with her daughter. Paranormal Paul is actually going to be Brandy.
He's gonna sit in.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul.
We actually have a great guest. It's Jill Remensnyder from A Flash of Beauty.
Oh, great guest. Yes.
Yeah, she's awesome.
They've got their videos do 1 million.
Oh yeah, they're great.
They're awesome. Great documentaries.
Yep.
Well, I'll be sure to tune into that one, as you all should. Subscribe, like, and share. And thanks, Krista, and everybody else.
Yep. See ya. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.